I'm going to just briefly introduce Jess and then let her kick it off. So, I did mention a minute ago, Jess is from St. Louis. She's in my market. She's part of our St. Louis chapter, and we are very blessed to have her. We have gotten an opportunity to learn from her in our like private chapter setting before. So, very excited to share her with the rest of the KWYP world here. She has been KW leadership. She has been a coach. She has been a business operator. She's been all sorts of different things. But the root of all of that is that she is passionate about teaching, about coaching, about education. And Google is kind of her jam. She has all the tricks and tips and all the things. So if you have more questions or if you want to bring her to your market center, I'm sure that she would be able to make something work with you because she knows all of the things. So today we picked just the inbox because there was enough content there to fill an hour plus some. So today we're going to focus on inbox things, but she does have tools for all of the Google things. So if you're interested in more, definitely connect with her. She's got some ways to do that. But that's really all I've got. So Jess, take it away.
I love it. And thank you so much. So what I will do is I do have slides prepared because I am not an auditory learner. I like to share everything visually. And what I ask is just, feel free to drop questions in the chat or feel free to save them till the end, whatever's easiest on you guys, because I will leave space for that towards the end. I'll try to make this, quick and easy and tactical for you guys. Because I know that as young professionals, you are busy probably juggling a million things. A lot of agents are solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, which means you're dealing with a myriad of different things every single day. So it's operations, it's lead generation, it's lead follow-up, it's transaction management, it's all this stuff. And so more often than not, I find that people live and exist in the I have a million emails club, not the zero inbox club. And I'm one of those people, little neurospicy, and I cannot stand a full inbox because I feel like it's a waste of time and energy. I want to get in and get out. And so that's kind of what I want to show you today in terms of figuring out strategies that are going to work for your brain and your business. So take everything with a grain of salt and figure out what's going to work for you guys best. So today's class, email freedom, how to cut your inbox time in half. And we'll go with my slide deck actually working. There we go. So as Megan said, a little bit about me. I am a former KW leader in the fact that I went from the DFI front desk through director of technology, director of marketing, agent services, and MCA. I tell people the only reason I wasn't a TL like Alex is because I don't like rejection. So I just bypassed that one. But then I stepped out of that role in the end of 2022 because of the fact that I have a kiddo with a heart condition who needed me to be a mom first. And I took all the experience that I learned in teaching and education, because I have a master's in that, plus the life experience and knowledge I learned through Keller Williams, and started business coaching. And so now I also own and operate a company inside of KW called Leverage Strong with several other business partners where we do technology training and onboarding and offboarding. So I'm still part of the KW ecosystem, but lean way more heavily into the education side than the operations like I used to be. And the reason for that really is because I am most passionate about helping people find time and focus on what matters most. So for me, that was being a mom first and then building that life by design to support that mission. And I believe that every, agent, every leader in this company should have that big passion, that big mission, something bigger than themselves. And my goal is to help them find ways to buy more time so they can focus on that. So as Megan said, Google tools are my favorite operating system. And I build entire businesses around, Google Workspace and what those tools can offer. So today we're just going to focus on email, and I'm going to use Gmail as the example for everything. However, there are ways to do this inside of other email clients as well. So I know that being neurospicy means I tend to talk fast, go fast, and you guys are at computers or on a device, but I wanted to make sure all the resources were really for you. So you can do one of two things. You can scan this QR code with a phone or tablet and it'll pull up your email and you just hit, or if you're on a computer, feel free to go to your email client, type in my email address, Jess@JessWeber, BBS, I'm full of BS is the easy way to remember that. And put in the exact subject line, KWYP email class July 30th. If you copy and paste that exact thing and put that in the subject line and hit send, it's going to send you an automatic response email with this entire slide deck plus my resources for today. So that way you're not sitting here going overwhelmed, going, oh my God, she went too fast, or I didn't get that note, or can you go back to that slide? Because you'll have everything right in front of you. And if you're struggling with this and I move on, I'm going to pull it up again at the end too. So just know that I'm here to help. And I hope that this is beneficial for you guys. So first and foremost, like I said, the average professional spends 2.5 hours per day in their inbox. That's 30% of your work week that's lost to busy work. Or one of my favorite authors, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, he says, your email inbox is a to-do list for you created by others. I hate that. I do not want anybody I know thinking that their email is truly the priority. Now, I understand inside the world of real estate, you're dealing with contracts and dealing with vendors and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you should not be 100% dedicated to your email inbox over your calendar, over relationships, over growing your business. So these are where these strategies come in today. So what you'll walk away with from this class, my goal is to help you cut your inbox time in half by the end of the week or the beginning of next week. I'll give you a 3-step system to stop drowning in all of those email messages. And I'm going to show you several automations to kind of eliminate redundancies that I know happen because you're probably going fast, but you're not slowing down long enough to take the time to create the automation so that you never have to do the thing again. So why am I passionate about this? Why is your email inbox broken? Like I said, you're probably flooded with things that you don't actually need to act on. How many of you are guilty of signing up for newsletters that you're like, I want to read this thing, or they're going to give me a free PDF. And then every day for the rest of your life, you're getting 47 new emails from that same sender. And it just floods your inbox, right? That's not stuff that you need to act on. It's not something that you need to do right away. And yet it's constantly giving you those notifications that you got new emails. And you're like, oh, maybe it's that contract I'm waiting on. Oh, maybe it's this. And it doesn't matter. It's not a thing that's actually important to you. And when you have so many of those things coming in, you happen to see them a lot of times and you're like, oh, I actually do want to go back and reread that later, but you don't do anything with the email. So it sits there. So then your inbox, again, keeps growing and growing because you haven't made decisions around that email. So every time you go, oh, I'm just going to go check, I'm going to go see if that contract's signed, whatever, you get distracted because that box is so full. And so what it boils down to really is your inbox is managing you, not the other way around of you managing it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to fix that. The first thing that I want you to think about is your inbox is truly a sorting station. It's not your to-do list. Too many people make it their priority list or their to-do list, and that's not what it needs to be for you. You don't need to respond to every email immediately. It is not a tier 1 communication system. And what I mean by 1 to me is a phone call, right? Tier 2 would be a text message. Tier 3, lowest priority, email. And so most real estate agents that I know that are overwhelmed by their inbox are treating their inbox like a tier 1 communication system. And that is not the case. None of this stuff that is coming into your inbox should warrant instantaneous responses like a phone call or a quick response like a text message. And so if you can kind of work on shifting that into your head, it's going to really help you be intentional. I personally check my email 2, maybe 3 times a day with all of the strategies that I'm teaching you. And it takes just a few minutes each time, and then I move about the day. So I am not hyper-focused on those notifications and the growing inbox. And The reason I'm able to do that and the reason I'm sharing this with you is honestly 80% of what's coming in, all those newsletters, all those notifications from websites of you left this thing behind in your cart because you were busy shopping at 3 a.m. instead of sleeping. All of those can be automated, deleted, or trained in your inbox to actually ignore. So that way, the only thing that is creating a new email notification is an actual two-way communication with another human or a prioritized notification from something like DocuSign. Okay. So what your goal is to kind of get this in your head is the ABCs of, or the time trifecta for email, right? Your goal is to automate as much as you can. That's read statuses, filters, labels. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. Then I want you to practice batching. So like for me, it's not that I unsubscribe from every one of those newsletters if I find content in the newsletter valuable enough to read at least once a week, right? So that's how I kind of filter it in my head. And then I only archive, delete, or read those during one of my time blocks in the day. I don't let myself get distracted. So I batch intentionally my time inside my inbox. So I'm focused on what really matters. And then again, take time to cut. So choose to archive, delete, respond, and eliminate a lot of that repetition of going back and being like, oh yeah, I wanted to read that. Oh yeah, I wanted to read that. Oh yeah, I wanted to read that. Just go ahead and be super intentional with your automations and your batching so that you can cut the majority of your time and energy and really focus on what matters in your business. Okay. So the first thing I really want you guys to start doing is start with a 2 inbox setup. And what do I mean by this? This means there is a feature, and I'm going to show you visually right after this slide, where you can actually set up your inbox to be unread and read emails. That's the only inboxes you need. So if you're inside Gmail and you've launched a new account or like you're new to Keller Williams or something like that, usually you'll see the priority inbox, plus you'll see like updates and promotions and all of those. I go turn all of those off. So the only inbox that I want is the primary inbox. And then I want it sorted between unread and read, or another way to say it is unread and everything else. And then the second trick here is you can put a reading pane on the side. So it's not just a long list of emails, but if you click on one, it'll give you a preview of the email with the reading pane. So that way you don't actually have to spend time clicking in and clicking out and clicking in and clicking out. And you can determine, is this something that I need to leave in the inbox? Is it something that I need to, delete or archive or mark as read and just check on it later, right? So this saves you a ton of clicks because that reading in, out, in, out, in, out, which, I mean, if you think about doing 10 emails a day, that's another 20 clicks I've just saved. Again, when you set up some of these automations, it's going to make it even easier. So when you actually do click on it and open it, it automatically, there's a feature that will mark it as read. So you don't have to sit there and click it yourself. And that moves it out of the inbox. So that way you can start prioritizing truly what matters. And finally, my other favorite feature is turn the tab counter on, and I'll show you what that looks like, because it means you don't have to click on the tab that is your email if you're on a computer every 5 seconds to see if you got a new thing. You can be focused on something else. You could be in command doing lead generation, waiting on a contract to come in, and your counter says 12. And you only need to stop lead generating and doing what you're doing if that counter changes to 13. So you're not sitting there and going back and forth and getting distracted and, oh, the newsletter, ooh, color coding, ooh, labels, all the things that I know happen so frequently. So what does this look like? This is a generic inbox, right? And here is what I'm showing you. So you've got unread at the top, and I've hidden it so you're not seeing my emails, and everything else below. So unread will show you only the counter number, and that's right up here at the top with this inbox number. And then everything else will be read, but you can still click into it, still look at it. And the reason I showed this one is because this is the reading pane right here. So every time you click on an email, it'll show you exactly what the body of the email is right here on the side. And then finally, like I said, that little counter is way up in the corner if you're using Google Chrome. Those 3 things right there, if you do nothing else from this class, should save you a lot of clicks, because you're only going to sit there and focus on the unread every time you go into your email later in the day. The morning, you can clean out the everything else if you're OCD enough and you like to clean them out. One of my business partners just leaves everything there, and then eventually I go in once a month and just archive everything that's read because it drives me nuts. But for the most part, I'm the person who I'll look through unread first, and then I'll look through everything else first time block of the morning. I'll archive, delete, read, do whatever I need to do. And then the rest of the day, all I have to do is a quick glance at unread. If the number and the counter has gone up, respond or decide, and then move about my day. So I've gone from spending an hour to 3 hours in my email inbox to managing 10 inboxes in probably 30 minutes a day. And it's just because of the fact that I've created these little tiny nuanced systems where I can sit there and look and be like, oh, that the counter hasn't gone up. I have no reason during my time block to even click on that inbox. And that way I'm not distracted. So it helps you keep going forward and keep choosing the right priorities by something super simple. Before I go on, are there any questions about this? Y'all can unmute, interrupt me, please. I love talking to other people and not just listening to myself. So it's all quiet on the Western Front here. Okay. So second tool, trick, thing that I absolutely love in my inbox that makes your life easier are labels. So most people are familiar inside a CRM like Command with tags. The Google version of a tag is called a label. So you can label emails, and you can use multiple labels per email for different reasons and different features. And that helps you sort and filter without searching. So it makes things really simple. Kelsey, I'm going to do a Q&A at the end with my actual inbox. So that's a good question. Remind me when we get to that point. But labels are literally just tags, and they sort alphabetically automatically. Say that 5 times. And so they sort alphabetically automatically, but then if you want them to be in a certain specific order, you can number them. So you can put 1, financials, 2, Zoom membership, 3, apple picking. I'm just picking random letters of the alphabet, and it'll organize by the numerical before it organizes by the alphabetical. Okay. So I love the fact that you can have tags or labels. You could also have sub-labels. So what I do to keep things super simple, now this is a little bit of my OCD coming through, is I actually create a hub, or an umbrella label, and then I put specifics underneath it. And what I mean by that is I will label newsletters as my primary label, but then I'll do sub-labels, and I'll put Alex Hermosi and Jay Papazon and Gary Keller and whoever else is sending me newsletters, and I'll make a specific label for each one. And that way, if I'm ever I remember reading this really great email by Jay, and it was a while back, but I don't remember specifically what day it was. I can go click that label and see every email automatically that's labeled that way, and then quickly look at them and go, oh yeah, it was this one. And because I got the reading pane, I don't have to click and open each one. I can just kind of click on them and be like, oh yeah, that's it, right? So you can utilize these labels in addition to the search field and things like that that are inside Gmail. The other thing that my OCD personality absolutely flippin' loves about labels is you can color code them. And that visually helps you go even faster in your inbox if you leverage colors. So for example, if you're labeling clients as your primary label, and then each sub-label is attached to the husband's email and the wife's email on a transaction, right? So it's 123 Main Street, and you get everybody's stuff in there. All your clients might be green, but then your, information coming from a vendor might be orange or something like that. And so it stands out in your inbox if you start to be intentional with those colors. And you can even use emojis too. So I have one that's the yell at me one, and it needs attention in all caps with the little siren emoji on top of a police car. And I will put that on things that I'm okay, I know I have to respond to this by end of day, but I also am not doing it right this moment. And you can apply something like that. So it like yells at you and makes things really fast and obnoxious and stand out. So those color coding features plus emojis can truly make the labels level up even more than just be a bunch of folders, which is what I feel like most people used to do. If you were raised by somebody who like grew up in the Microsoft world and they were like, here, have folders. And I'm like, folders are boring. They all look like manila, right? So these color coded labels allow you to be so much more intentional. And they're not folders, which is why you can use 10 different labels for one email if you need to. Like it's a transaction, plus it's labeled by a client name, plus I've got a vendor on it, so it labels for him too, plus I'm using the needs attention one. That's totally fine. You can add and remove them as frequently as possible, and it won't mess with the email status. Like it won't archive or delete or anything like that. The label is just a tag. So these can become great strategic tools for you to, again, at a glance, okay, I need to pay attention to today and my needs attention before I get distracted by the pretty blue that is all my newsletters. Okay. So it again helps you be super smart about this. So example here is the side of the inbox. Labels is right below the inboxes. And you can see I've got sample here of financials, travel details, newsletters. And those three are numerically sorted, not alphabetically sorted because I put the number in front of them. But then below with newsletters, you can see how it alphabetically sorts each newsletter by the sender. And so anytime you want to add a label or a sub-label, you click that little plus sign where the arrow is pointed and you can add them there. And then if you hover over one that's created, there's 3 little dots and it's like, oh yeah, I want to change the color. Oh yeah, I want to relabel this. Oh yeah, I want to move it under another label as a sub-label. And you can manage or edit everything right there. So it's a super easy to use situation. Okay. Did I overwhelm everybody? You're good? Thumbs up if okay. Give me feedback, y'all. I mean, okay. The real power though, beyond the filters, beyond the organization of the inbox is filters. They're my favorite tool ever. Right before this class, I was having a friend of mine who is a tech nut. She literally works in e-commerce. And I was making her test the QR code at the front of my slide deck that I showed you guys. And she's like, well, you set up a Zap and did this with API Nation and blah, blah, blah to get that done, right? And I was like, nope. I was like, all I did was use Google's tools inside of Gmail to make this happen. So filters are automations based on parameters that you set. So they can make your inbox run itself in so many different ways. And what I mean by that is you can create a filter by a sender, a subject, a keyword, whatever, and then tell your email inbox to behave a certain way based on that filter. So a couple examples here, come on, is everybody that scanned that QR code or sent me an email earlier, they got an auto response from my Google account if they did it correctly. And that was a filter. It also has a label applied to it. That was a filter, right? It's also going to be marked as read. That's a filter. I can have it archive, skip the inbox, delete automatically. There's so many different tools and tips and tricks inside filters that you play with, again, to work with your brain. So for me, when I first started learning about them, the only thing that I did, because I was afraid of breaking things and deleting emails, was start with applying labels. So I just practiced creating labels, but instead of manually putting labels on emails, I would sit there and I'd have them auto applied. So if Megan Peters sent me something, I could say, create a filter by KW.com. And then I would say automatically apply this client label Megan Peters. And now every time Megan emails me, that label is already attached. And then when I realized that I didn't want to get anything from Megan, I went back in and I edited my filter and I said, automatically delete everything from Megan Peters. I'm just kidding. But you can tell it to do multiple things inside one filter. So you can say, I want the label added and I want it automatically read because it's a newsletter. So I'm going to have the, Megan Peters newsletter label added and make it auto read so it's not filling up my inbox. But it is something I want to look at later. So it'll be in that everything else. And I'll have that ability there to look at it and then decide later, is it something I want to delete or save and archive? So these filters are game changing in terms of how much time you're actually going to spend in that inbox. Because again, 80% of what's coming in should have filter applied to it that moves it out of your upper part, your unread part. Because I'm going to guarantee you that most of what's coming into your inbox is honestly not something that needs to be in the unread section. Okay. So I'll show you at the top of your email. And again, I'll pull up my actual email client and show you guys all this, but I just wanted to give you the screenshots as part of the slide deck. When you go up to the search bar, there's a little icon on the side that's a filter icon. And if you click it, it'll pop this up and it'll say, hey, what parameters do you want to set? So do you want to put in a subject line? Do you want to put in a sender? Do you want to put in, has these words, doesn't have these words? You can be as specific or general as you want, but the more specific, the better the filter is going to be probably. And then as soon as you put something in there, so like when I put in the subject line of this class, KWYP, then I hit that create filter button and it pulls up this second section of the filters. And so it says, okay, when a message is an exact match to whatever you said on the first part, what do you want to happen? And so this is where you can see, you get options like skip the inbox, mark it as read, apply a label, delete it, send the template. The other great thing is you can apply it to all past conversations. So if I'm making a Megan Peters newsletter label, and I've been getting Megan Peters newsletter emails for like 2 years, if I hit apply to all matching conversations, it'll backdate everyone too. So it's not just a moving forward thing. You can also make it a backdate thing. And again, this just adds simplicity to everything you're doing because you don't have to sit there and manually apply or manually organize things. And I love it for events like this. Like if you had a client event or just like I'm doing with, an education specific event, you can put up a QR code. And y'all, I made that QR code in Canva with ChatGPT giving me the prompt to put in the QR code in Canva. So it's super easy, super fast, right? But you could have it say, hey, client event, register for a drawing if you submit this information. And that QR code pulls up a Google form or something like that. And then they get it all in. And then you have your inbox send them a thank you for submitting the Google form. That can be an automatic thing and it's tagged and labeled and all the stuff. So again, this is meant to be super simple and you expound on it over time. So you start practicing with 1 or 2, get comfortable, and then add new ones as you go on. Okay. You don't have to use all of these for every single thing. There's labels. Okay. Email signatures. I know this is a thing that most people know what they are, but nobody thinks about how to use them strategically. So here's the thing that I like to tell people about email signatures. It's not just your contact information. It's truly a tool for communication clarity. And what I mean by that is you can use different ones for different situations. So you don't have to just have one generic email signature that's like a catch-all, but you could have one that you use when you're sending emails like to clients, like you've just met them and you're like, I want it to have my name and my contact information, my title, my credentials, and I want to give them a free resource so they see me as extra valuable and not just an annoying person emailing them, right? But that could look super different if you're at a networking event, like let's say Mega Camp, and you're wanting to connect with other agents. You might have a 15-minute calendar link to book a call to figure out if you guys could be referral partners. And that would be a different email signature than your client-facing one because information for referral purposes, client. Same thing if you're working on a team, so you're part of a mega team or you're building a team. One of my favorite things to do when I was inside the KW leadership space was I had a link to our Google Drive, which was a resource drive built and organized, color-coded because I was in charge of it, right? But I had a massive Google Drive resource drive with, hey, here's logos and branding, here's contracts, here's training on command, here's training on DocuSign, all these different things. And 9 times out of 10, they would start to email me a question. They would see my email signature with the link to the resource drive. They would answer their own question. And then when I went back to check my email later, I'd have a second one that said, never mind. Right. So it became a way to train people to find the information that they're needing or the resource that they're needing in a way that it's not you being the person delivering that all the time. So these are just a couple examples. You can have as many email signatures as you want. It's a super simple thing to set up, but just be intentional with them because again, you're training people how to treat you by the way that you show up in your inbox, the same way you show up with your text messages or your phone calls. And so if you're like, kind of half-aing it and you're not putting a lot of effort into it, that's going to show. If you're vomiting value on people that they don't actually want or need, then it's going to show that you're not being intentional and relational. So think about what's going to be beneficial for 2 or 3 camps and build 2 or 3 email signatures that really help you out here. Okay. And the way, again, that you do this is in your settings under the general tab. If you scroll part of the way down, there's an entire signature section. And you can see here, I've got 3 examples of different signatures. And then you can even choose your defaults. Like, which one do I want if I'm just going fast? That has probably the least amount of information. But then you have the option to choose other ones moving forward, right? So you can set up as many as you want and you can use them in different emails in different ways. Just don't forget that once you make all these edits, when you scroll down to the bottom, you hit save because inevitably I'm going fast and I forget. And then I get really mad at myself because I've put all this work into something. I've formatted the picture, I've lined up the things, and then I forget the save button. So anytime you're playing in Google settings, don't forget to click save. But that's the gist of that. And here's towards the end, y'all. Like I said, you guys are amazing and patient with me, but I want to finish up so that you can ask me questions. The last thing that I think is super important is to stop repeating yourself. How many people are guilty of writing out only to have to rewrite the same email a day, a week, a month, an hour, a minute later, right? You can, anytime you're going to send the same content more than once, create an email template. So typically what I do is if I've written an email and I get a new one and I know that I've already written an email, I'll go find it and I'll be like, now is the time, right this minute, to make this a template. Okay. So you can save yourself so much time by having these templates ready to go. It's great for, thanks for reaching out. Here's how to book an appointment with me if you're looking to buy or sell your home. We've received your request from a website or something like that. And here's how we're going to respond. And here's the expectations and the timeline. Or if you're bringing on a new client or you're closing with a client or you're working with a team, you can have onboarding and offboarding like ready to go confirmations. Hey, you're all set. Reminder, here's the links to all the things that we've already shared with you. Don't forget, we're so excited you're here, all that kind of thing. So templates can be used for a myriad of things. And again, you decide when to use them. But if you're going to say something more than twice, it probably can be a template. And the easiest way to do this, again, in your settings under advanced, the first thing you have to do is enable them. Most people, when I teach this class, can be like, I don't have templates. My Google doesn't have that. And I was like, no, you just didn't turn it on, y'all. It's really that easy. So you go to advanced and templates, click enable, hit save, right? And then when you're drafting a new email, so you can see I've got a new message pulled up, those 3 little dots in the very bottom corner that are highlighted gray right now, they pull up and they pull up this menu of options. And once this thing is enabled, the templates show up. And then it'll show you all the templates you've already made, or you have the option to save everything you've drafted as a brand new template. Okay. And so that's where I'm saying anytime you think you're going to use something more than once, save it as a template, because you can always come in here and be like, oh yeah, this is really old. I haven't taught this class in 2 years. I'm going to delete it. Right. Or, oh, that was for KW St. Louis, and now I need to edit it because I'm going to go teach this class in Michigan, right? And so I might tweak some of the language or change the CTA. But again, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can go edit a template and resave it too. And I'll do the same thing when I teach this class again. I'll remove the July 30th and I'll put a new date in my filter and I'll put a new date in my email, and then I'm done. And I don't have to do any other prep work for this class ever again, besides changing that template and then my filter behind it. So those are my biggest time-saving hacks. They also help with, again, like I said already, setting expectations. You can even set up auto responses if you don't like templates, because I don't think of auto responses as rude. I think of them as respectful to other people. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs who, once they finally break away from the obsession of email, they will set up a permanent auto responder that says, hey, I check my email twice a day. I will get back to you the next time I check it, within business hours. If this is a true emergency, please feel free to text me at this number, or please feel free to call my team. So you can set expectations and give them parameters for how you're going to respond with an autoresponder. Or if you just want to say every email coming in can get a template, you can do the same thing. But the idea here is you're making it easy for people to understand how you operate, and it lets them respect your schedule, know how they can get a response faster. Because again, email is tier 3 in my book. Phone first, text second. Honestly, if you're on a team, Google Chat is third, email's last. I flippin' hate email and I avoid it at all costs. And then how somebody should wait, right? So you're teaching people how to treat you through something like a filter with a template or an auto response. And if you've never used those before, it's all under the same settings, so we're in Gmail settings under general again, and you just turn that vacation responder on, set a first date, don't put a last date, and you can say, hey, I'll check my email at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. every Monday to Friday. If it's an emergency, please text me. Otherwise, I will respond at my next available time. And again, creates and sets expectations and allows you to stay out of your flippin' inbox or feel like you have to respond immediately. Okay. So here's what I'm going to challenge you guys to do. Check your email only when scheduled. I have, like I said, time blocks on my calendar. I have a 30-minute block first thing in the morning, because what I do is I look at my email and then I set my time blocks and my to-do list for the day with Google Calendar and Google Tasks. That's 2 more classes. Shameless plug for me if you need them. But truly, I check my email in the morning and then I quickly glance at it twice, like round end of day for me. And that's it. I make it super easy. So I'm going to challenge you, check your email less and less each day. And it is going to help you so much with your mental health and time buyback. I'm going to challenge you to archive aggressively and be okay with deleting things. I would bet money that every person on this call has archived newsletters that they, 1, never read, and 2, will never read, that are filling up their inbox. So if you use one of those labels to then sort by Megan Peters' newsletter, you can literally do that. And then you can click delete all and then only get the new ones moving forward and decide if her new ones are worth saving or not, right? So aggressively delete and archive based on whether or not you need to keep that communication or not. Systematically adjust your labels and filters, meaning for the most part, the ones that I use are always there, right? My financials stay, my travel stuff stays, my newsletters stay, but sometimes I sign up for a newsletter. Sometimes I buy into a new piece of technology and I'm going to get new invoices. And so I need to update my financial one. So be intentional. I probably do this once a week. I just take a look and be like, are there any things that I need to change? Like, am I actually using this newsletter, or can I unsubscribe and delete the filter and delete the label? Am I getting a bunch of emails that have no labels on them? Because then that means I need to spend a couple of minutes creating that label and that filter to make sure that everything has a label moving forward so I can go faster and fewer things fill up my inbox. Okay. And please, for the love of Pete, do not save everything. Do not save everything. You're not going to read everything. You're not going to go back. I think every founder, visionary person that I have worked with in the last decade and a half has had to pay for storage in Google because they had too many photos, too many videos and too many emails and too many Google Drive docs because they saved every single thing ever. Completely unnecessary. I get it. You're in a business that you need to save certain things like client communications. That's what your storage is for. It is not for Megan Peters newsletters times 297,346, right? I love you, Megan. I really do. And thank you for being my guinea pig. But seriously, I don't need that many. So please don't save things you're never going to read. Okay. So here's my challenge to you. Open up your inbox and set it up for success. Start with building those labels and filters. Create your signatures and templates. Again, you don't have to do these all today, but take the baby steps and start with one thing and then let it snowball from there. And the big thing, stay committed. So like I said, I probably adjust my filters and my labels as needed once a week. It's not like I'm sitting there doing it every day, but again, it helps me, and maybe once a month. I might even be slower than that. But the idea is that you systematically go back and stay committed to it, and it makes it so much easier, which is why I can literally manage 10 inboxes over 1, 2, 3, 4 businesses and not feel overwhelmed by email and not spend more than a half hour a day in it. Okay. So again, like I said, if anybody hopped on late and did not get a chance to get today's resource and the QR code, or just pull up your email client, shoot me an email, but put that exact subject line in there, and then you'll get to see the filter feature that I've already built, send you an automatic response with a template. And it has this slide deck, and it also has another checklist for you that I built to help people get more specific on how to do each of the things I just showed you. So there's that resource in there for you guys as well. Okay. Before I turn off the slides and we do questions, there's one small shameless plug that I want to give you guys an opportunity as well. I am teaching a masterclass on buying back your time. So I am going to teach a little bit of the email stuff, but a lot of calendar, a lot of to-dos, a lot of other features and functions that I leverage technology for at the end of this month. And it's a paid class because part of the proceeds actually go to the cardiac research through the Children's Heart Foundation and my son's heart walk team, because we do a heart walk every year since he is a cardiac kid. So what I did is I made KWYP members a coupon code. It takes $100 off the class. And if you guys would like to join, or if you're not able to join, but you want the recording, you're welcome to purchase it with that coupon code. You're going to get all the resources, all the recording stuff, and know that part of that money goes towards cardiac research, which is my big passion project. So thank you for your time and watching. Now, please unmute yourself and tell me what questions I can answer. This is the quietest group ever. Y'all are killing me.
You did an amazing job, though.
Thank you. So here's my actual email inbox. I saved you some emails that are not labeled and things like that just to show you. But I also wanted to show you, look, here's your class responses right here. So I'm going to click on Megan just because I know Megan's public. I set up all of this with a response. So as long as that filter has that inbox subject line set up, you are getting the templated email right here. Here's the slide deck. Here's the checklist, which if you guys haven't looked at that yet, this is my checklist for all the things I just taught you. And of course, because I'm screen sharing, it doesn't like me. But it literally tells you how to do every single thing, and you can have your own checklist to get it done with the nuanced details of it. Because like I said, I know I went fast. So that's there to help you guys out. Just make your own copy and then you can use it as much as you want. So questions, comments, concerns, anything?
I was curious because mine actually doesn't show unread at the top. And I don't know if there's a setting I need to change or something, but I don't have that option.
So under settings, which is that lovely gear icon, I gotta move you people. See all settings, although you can also do it right there. Actually, we'll go back. We'll do that. We'll make this easier, Ranyo. Come on, inbox. If you click this gear icon, come on, it's right here under inbox type, unread first. So that should help you out there. And then usually what I do is I turn off all of these as other inboxes. So you can see at the top of mine, I don't have social and updates and promotions and all of that. And that is under the more detailed settings of I don't want all those. I think they're annoying. And so under inboxes, so settings, inboxes, here's what you can see here. And if there's other ones, you can say like hide section when empty and that kind of thing. So you can manage those inbox a little bit more detailed here. And then also here's your reading pane if you don't have enable that. Okay. Meg, enough time to start sending me newsletters because I don't think I get anything from you. So what else can I help y'all with?
And so the reply that you just did for us that did that's a template, that's an auto
correct
response.
So I'll show you exactly how I did it. Here's a blank email, right? So if I was going to say, hey, Anne, and I was going to write some gibberish, I can put everything I want in there, right? I literally will sit here, say templates, save draft as template, save as new template. And then it says, what do you want your template name to be? It's whatever the subject line is. And then I hit save. Now, if I go up to this little guy right up here, which is what I was saying earlier, this is my filter friend and my search option friend. I could say anything that says, hey, Anne, exclamation point, create a filter. And then I can say, choose template, hey, Anne, and hit create filter. And now every email that comes through that says, hey, Anne, will get that automatic response.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And then when I'm like, oh, I don't actually want that template anymore. I mean, I love you, Anne, but I have no reason to keep that template for anything. I can go back in here and be like, delete template. I'm going to delete Anne. And if I've made a filter for it, that's managed through your settings as well. So all settings. Let me get rid of that puppy. Go away. Filters right here. You can look through here and find the filter that said, hey, Anne, usually they're, oh, I might have not saved it, but you can come in here. You can edit filters that already exist. You can delete filters. You can add to filters, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm weird. I won't sit here and go search for a filter to edit it. I'll just make a new filter to make it do what I want out of sheer laziness. So there might be duplicates in here. Like, for example, I know that I already have David Meltzer as a newsletter, but for some reason they're using a different email address or they're using a new email client, like they switched from MailChimp to ConvertKit or something. For whatever reason, my old filter is not working. So I can sit here and click these three dots and say, filter messages like these. And it's going to grab, oh, he's using Beehive now. So I'm going to hit create filter, choose label, David Meltzer, apply to all matching conversations and mark as read, because I don't need that to be filling up my inbox. And then I'll hit create filter and it'll clean that up and it pulls it out and it moves it down here somewhere. There it is. Join us in Dallas is the one I just moved. Okay. So you can be super intentional with these and be like, oh, like open table. I don't ever want to see an open table one because that really is just spam to me. So I'm going to hit create filter, apply to matching conversations, delete it. I don't care, but I'm not marking it as spam because it's not spam. I just don't want to see it in my inbox and I have no reason to save it. But if I was like in a pinch and I was like, oh my God, did I use this address to go make a reservation at Open Table and it's not showing up? I could come in here and go look at my trash and be like, oh yeah, it's still there because trash sticks around for 30 days. So that's why I like using that versus like the spam feature, is because of the fact that I can go search my stuff later. Or like, I don't need all these LinkedIn messages. I don't really care. I've never made a LinkedIn thing, but I'm like, cool. Story, bro. Delete it. Good, done. Peace. You know.
I have a
yeah,
question.
Go ahead.
You might have gone over it. Like, would you do the filter and delete versus unsubscribing? Did you guys talk about that?
I I kind of vaguely glossed over it. It's dependent on whether or not you still are connected to whoever's sending it. So for example, I have an Open Table account. I do make reservations at Open Table. I just don't want to see a bunch of their junk. Most of the time, the address coming from Open Table for promotions versus reservations is different, but I'm paranoid. So what I do is I use a filter to just say, delete all these in hopes that it's only the promotion stuff. But I'm not losing it and I'm not unsubscribing. So I'll still get my reservation information. That's a bad example, but at least it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's something
No,
like
that-
Megan
that's a
Peters'
good
newsletter,
example.
yeah, if it's Megan Peters' newsletter and I'm like, I'm so over Megan, like I'm never doing anything with her ever again, then I would click unsubscribe. And then I might even go as far as be like, oh, here, let's see, who can I delete? I can delete David Meltzer. I'll click on David Meltzer. Let's pretend this is Megan Peters, right? And I can be like, select all 96, and I can click delete. And it goes like that, right? So I like the auto tagging feature of a filter to then do the search and delete faster. And then so set up a filter for the future if I want of like, hey, future stuff, delete as well.
Got it.
But again, you do what works for your brain. I mean, there's no
Well, that makes
wrong
sense because
way.
there are certain things that I'm scared to unsubscribe from, but something I do unsubscribe from. Like lenders, when they send you all that bullshit, I'm like, I want the alerts, but I don't care about whatever else.
And like my buddy John Morris, for example, he started creating this new AI playbook and his new AI newsletter. I don't have a current sublabel under newsletters for John Morris because I can see it alphabetically. So I can be like, add sublabel, John Morris, Realty Edge AI, right? And that's just the way I like to organize things. It does always default to black, but I can sit here and be like, newsletters, label color. I want all of them this pretty green. Do that to all of my sublabels. And then it changes it super fast and easy, right? And then I can grab John's thing and be like, filter the message. Here's all those that he sent me that I haven't probably read, but I love him and he's a business partner, so I have to be nice to him. Don't tell him I said that out loud. And then you can sit there and if you don't think you're going to read it right away, but you really do want to save it, like I love John, but I'm probably not going to read them. I can mark it as read and archive it automatically, but then go find it later if I want to. So that's another thing is if you don't want to delete, you don't want to unsubscribe, you know you're never going to read it, but you do want to keep it, skip the inbox and mark as read, apply label is a great way to go. Because then I can always find all of John's stuff with the click of a label. But I'm not sitting there going, oh yeah, that's in my inbox. Okay. Anything else, y'all? Okay. Well, then that's my jam. I believe we are sending out a recording of this to everybody who registered, but please, if there's any questions or if you want me to bring some fun classes like this to your market center, I do live workshops, I do Zoom workshops, I do all the things. I love to help people buy back their time. Because like I said, I run 4 businesses in under 30 hours a week so that I can go pick up my kid by 3 p.m. That to me is important to help other people live a life like that, whatever their design may be. And it's little things like this that really can change the game for you. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jess.
You're so welcome. Thanks, guys.
Excited for the recording.
Yes, and I'll be at Mega Camp. So if there's anything else you guys want to, track me down on, I'm happy to help there too. So see you then.
Thanks for organizing. Bye.
Bye.